So as we go, summertime, cooler temperatures. Talked about that in the percentage triangle. Bigger fish, they like cooler temperatures. This can come in a variety of ways. Deeper water, that's always going to be a good choice. Your deeper water, there's going to be a thermocline. You can crank the sensitivity up on your units, and you can actually see that thermocline a lot of times. This time of year, you guys can't launch your boats, but if you head south a little bit, a lot of the lakes, I was just out in Oklahoma, you drive around on 10 Killer Lake. It's amazing how if you just drive around with your graphs on, you'll see all the bait fishes 30 to 45 foot. You get past 30 foot, there's no bait fish. But as soon as you get to 30 foot, it's almost a line. And that's because there's a thermocline there where those fish, where the water temperature is different. And those fish will always be within, say, a foot or 2 foot of that thermocline. If you can find that in the summertime, find that thermocline where they are, they'll be within a foot or two of that almost all the time on a deep lake where the fish are deep. You guys don't really have ledges, so a lot of times those fish are gonna still be shallow, right? They just don't go deep. If you have a lake that's only 20 feet deep, 6 or 7 foot is probably gonna be pretty deep to those fish. It's relative, just like the dirty water. So you just have to adapt to that and change. One way to do that is running up rivers. Anytime you have that current coming out of a river, that's usually going to be cooler water than just say the main lake where it's stagnant. It's also going to give a lot of oxygen. They're burning more oxygen, burning more that time of year, and current allows them to just set up and let the food come to them. So it's always a good ambush point. We talked about the Mississippi River. They just sit there right behind a rock. And it's really cool if you watch like a water hydro chart of how water moves around a rock. Those fish don't have to exert any energy because the water will hit that rock, it goes around it, and it actually spins back around. And it'll push those fish up. So you've got this giant eddy where those fish, big 4-pound smallmouth, just sits there like they're bored out of their mind, and they just wait. Something comes by. There goes your crankbait. He jumps up there and eats it. That's the reason that tournament, that it was in the summer, right? Fish are done spawning. A lot of guys were fishing the backwaters, catching largemouth, but those big smallmouth, there was so much current still coming down, they were up shallow and easy to catch because they had that current, they had the cooler water coming down, and they're easy to target. Big thing, you get to ledge lakes, you're going to be deeper. We talked about that thermocline. Shallow, natural lakes, that's going to apply more to you guys. You still catch them. A lot of times they'll move throughout the day in the summertime. Earlier in the day, you'll catch them. They'll get up on those flats. They'll push bait around, and they may be on the inside weed edge. You know, they'll be up on those docks chasing bluegill around. A lot of times this is when you see those bluegill spawning. You see bass crashing up on them. They'll be on those inside weed lines. Later in the day, they may just move out, and you can still catch them on crankbaits. The only thing that sucks about throwing crankbaits in the summer up north on weed lines is northern pike. I imagine you guys got pike around here, right? Gosh, those things are brutal on crankbaits. But you also catch a lot of bass in between. So you guys have dealt with that your whole lives of dealing with pike. You get a bunch of southern guys up north and they've never dealt with pike before, and they go to lip the first one and realize that's a bad idea. So, I mean, when I was growing up fishing at home, we didn't have deep lakes. I didn't own a deep diving crankbait. The deepest one I owned dove 10 foot because we just never fished that deep. We didn't have to. When we did, we were smallmouth fishing, and I was more drop shotting or throwing top waters, jerk baits, things like that. I didn't do it except for in the spring, and I didn't really fish deeper than 10 foot. So I feel like that probably applies more to you guys. And that's when I'm fishing square bills. Are most of you guys' lakes natural around here, or river systems? You got rivers at the end, tops of them or whatever. Yep, very similar. So a lot of times those fish will be up in those rivers that time of year. Even if you got to, meander through logs and through sandbars and stuff, they'll get up there into a deep hole and sit up in that current because it's producing cooler water for those fish. Go ahead. So here's an example of if you were to go to a deep ledge. You guys look at this, like you've never seen anything like that in your life up here. But just in case you guys are going somewhere that's a little bit deeper, this one's from Kentucky Lake, one of the best ledge fishing lakes in the world. Well, you can see how they've got like these giant flats that lead out. You've got your main river channels.
And the information Bass University provides isn't your basic run-of-the-mill fishing video. This is specific information from A to Z to help you learn, get to the water, and become a better angler quickly.